everyone. Welcome to our webinar. It feels like it's been a while because we didn't have one last week. So to me, it feels like it's been so long. But it's really only been like 2 weeks. But thank you so much for coming today. This one's a very special one because we're going to be going over all of the data that we got from our community benchmark survey. Maybe you filled it out a few months ago, but there's some really awesome data to go over. So we're very excited to show you everything. But as you know, tell me where you're joining from. I'm seeing someone from Scotland. That's very cool. San Antonio, Texas, Vancouver, Atlanta. Amazing.
Lots of folks from Toronto area as well. Austria. Oh my gosh. I want to go to Austria this summer.
Yes, that would be amazing. Nebraska, Memphis, Alaska, Liverpool. Wow. I just love seeing where everyone is.
Same.
So good. I see Michael say, good evening from Birmingham, UK. Can see Jessie still has plenty of energy from the HeyOrca event. We now have our energy back.
Yes.
We did recharge.
Yes, though I will use the long weekend to recharge more.
Yes, same. And we will show you a few pictures from the event in a few minutes. But yes, I'll talk about it then. I could start talking about it now, but we will keep it. And I see it's someone's very first HeyOrca webinar, so welcome. We hope to see you at all the rest. We have them every Thursday. All right, we'll keep sharing where you're joining from, and we will go over a few housekeeping slides. So if you have no idea who HeyOrca is, maybe someone sent you this webinar and you're not really sure who we are a social media management tool for teams and agencies. So we're here to assist you for all of your social media scheduling. And my favorite part is we have unlimited users, which is awesome. And definitely follow us on social. It's at HeyOrca on all the social platforms. And check out all of our awesome video content that has been going out recently from our event. Big shout out to Jessica, Natalie, and of course, Lyle, Jesse, everyone who's in all the videos. We've been putting out some cool videos recently, so definitely check them out.
And thank you, Joe, for all his work. If you guys saw that video.
Oh, yes, true. And I actually just watched the villain walk one. I'm not in that one, and I'm kind of glad because I'm too scared to do that one, I think. But you guys did so good. But we'll get into a quick round of intros. So my name is Alyssa, and I'm a community strategist here at HeyOrca. So I work on our webinars, our newsletter, Facebook group, HeyOrca stands, all of that. And I'll pass it over to Jessie.
Great. And I'm Jessie. I'm the Director of Marketing, so anything customer acquisition related. If you all know a social media manager who needs to know about HeyOrca, feel free to pass this along. That's my job.
Love it. Love it. And as usual, we are giving away an Amazon gift card, and we're actually giving away 2. So your first way to win is very easy. We have a poll going on right now on our LinkedIn page, and the question is, how do you define success as a social media manager? And we have a few options on that poll. We will actually be going over this question soon in our survey results, but we want to see what you think in the poll. So definitely head over there. Vote on what answer you want to choose, and we will be randomly selecting someone who voted tomorrow at noon. So that's your first way. The second way to win is to share what you learned in this webinar and tag us on LinkedIn. So since making an actual LinkedIn post does take a little bit more time, you actually have until Tuesday for this one. And I feel like this one's a really easy one to share because I'm sure there's a stat we're going to go over that you're going to be like, oh my God, I didn't know that. Or like something that surprised you. So you can always take a screenshot of the slide, or we do have the report for you. It's at the very top of the chat if you want to check it out and follow along with us. But yes, so that is the second way you can win, and you have until Tuesday at noon. And of course, I'm sharing just a few pictures. If you want to see more photos from our agency summit and community summit, we have so many on our Instagram and our LinkedIn. So definitely go over there and check that out. But here are some photos. If you didn't know, we had a 2-day event in Toronto last week on Wednesday and Thursday. The first day was our agency event. It was a more intimate event. We had agency leaders there. There was some talks, there was a panel, and then the summit was a full day event where we had so many amazing speakers, lots of networking, and I recognize people's names here right now that were totally there. So thank you so much for coming. We had so much fun. We'll definitely do it next year, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, this is just a little sneak peek of the day, and if you want to see more, definitely head over to our LinkedIn or Instagram. I'm just checking the chat here. Major FOMO from the UK. You got to come to the next one.
Or we go there. That'd be so
Oh, yeah.
epic.
I mean, I'm open. I'm open to go there. Love it. Ready to play save the date for next year. Yes, definitely stay tuned. We will share more about the next one. International tour. Maybe one day we'll do an international tour. That would be super fun.
Oh my gosh. That'd be so cool. Like Taylor Swift.
Yes. Oh, we can have our own Eras tour. A dream. Amazing. So yeah, stay tuned for next year. And everyone who came to this year, thank you so much for coming. It was so much fun to meet people in person. I feel like we always see people's names, but we've never actually met them. But we got to put faces to a lot of names, which was really fun. All right. So we're now going to dive into our HeyOrca community benchmark report. We are so excited to go over all of this. Dive, I didn't even realize, but that's perfect. And a big shout out to Jessie, who analyzed all of this data. So big shout out to her. She did a lot of work here. So we're very excited to show everybody. All right. And before we get into it, here's a little backstory. So as I'm sure most of you know, we are obsessed with community building here at HeyOrca. And this all started back in 2022 when we were faced with just a constant increase with our cost per acquisition. So then one day, Joe and I thought, that's enough. We need to try something else to try to lower this. So we thought, maybe let's experiment with community and building relationships and not prioritizing those transactions and prioritizing more, building the relationship with the community that we have. So this experiment worked out very well, and you can see the graph on the screen here. So we actually had an 80% decrease in our cost per acquisition, which was amazing to see. And then along with that, we ended up having a 300% increase in impressions. And we noticed our community was showing up for us online. And we've never really saw that much attention before. So seeing all of that was amazing. And that was all because we made that switch to focusing more on building community. And of course, we're not the only brand who's made this shift. There's other brands doing it as well, like Notion, Morning Brew, Glossier. So there's so many that we could list. But the good news is it's not too late for you to also start building community. So hopefully through this survey today, or not the survey, the data from the survey, you learn some more about that. And I'll pass it over to Jessie.
Nice. So just a quick note that if in the chat you're like, oh, I can't read this, I totally understand. It is a lot of information. So just a quick reminder that there's that little read our ungated community benchmark report at the top of the chat. Click that and you'll have access. It's ungated, and then you can read along there as well. Okay, so in case you're curious, where is this data even coming from? Does it reflect where I'm located in the world? Here's a little breakdown. So we asked 267 social media managers, shout out to all of them. They are worldwide. There's a group, most of them are in the US, then Canada, UK, Europe, rest of the world. They work in a variety of industries. You see higher ed, marketing agencies, nonprofits, public sector, technology. And they're also from varying team sizes. So you see teams of 1 as the biggest respondents to our survey, but you also see teams of 2 to 3, 4 to 6, 7+. So TLDR, so many variety of social media managers filled out this survey.
And I do see a question here from Kara. When you made these shifts, was your paid and organic team all on the same page with it? When we made the shift, it was just Joe and I. So we were both on the same page, so we went with it. So we didn't have to really like present it to anyone. We kind of just went with it one day.
Mm-hmm. And just to be clear, we still have a paid presence. So we haven't ditched ads completely. It's just that our cost per acquisition went down significantly when we started doing community investments. Yes, solo team represent for sure. All right, so first we're going to be talking about community as a growth strategy. Alyssa already outlined why we are very interested about community at HeyOrca ourselves, but we wanted to see how that reflected across everyone who filled out our survey. So from here, we wanted to see, what does social media success look like anyway? So I think as social media managers, we are aware of what successful social is, but sometimes leadership or clients might think that social is really just like lead generation only, or might have some other definition than you. So first off, let's ask social media managers, how do you define success? The answer is engagement is the top answer. 42.3% believe it's engagement. Brand awareness is the second option that came up as the most like what measures success, and then lead generation was last. So then we asked, okay, do your leadership and clients understand the impact of social? And good news, 30% do, but maybe like sadder-ish news is that 51% believes that some justification is needed by the social media manager to the client or to leadership. And then there was a good chunk who also said, no, my leadership or my clients don't understand social. So just in case you're curious, the leadership and clients in nonprofits, technology, and marketing agencies are the most likely to understand the impact of social. So that leaves out some other industries like higher ed, small businesses, and more. Then we asked, is there alignment between social and business goals? Because often that's what helps align leadership and clients. This one was kind of mixed. So 40% said yes, 51% said, could improve, you know. And 7.9% said no. And sorry, just looking in the chat, I realized the report link wasn't found, but I think that Lyle just updated that. So let us know in the chat if you still can't see it. Sorry about that, guys. All right, so now that we know whether we think or how people view social media success, we wanted to look at what's the business reason for focusing on community. So asking our community, if you're investing in community, which 69% of social media managers have started to invest in community in some capacity, what are you seeing the benefits of this from? And really good news, 31.7 say report higher engagements. We saw 29% say more brand advocacy. The next was stronger customer relationships, more UGC. And I mean, this reflects what we're doing at HeyOrca as well. We're seeing all of these, especially after the summit. Oh my gosh, I think Natalie and Jessica, who's out of office, would say that our social inbox was popping off. And that's just because of the investment in community that we were building up. We also want to know, what is the biggest barrier to investing in community? And the data says that it is measuring improving ROI. So a lot of social media managers are like, yeah, I totally get it. I want to build community, but we don't know how to tell our leadership about the value. And so hopefully with this report, you're going to be able to explain the value of it. So again, just bringing it back to your business goals, making sure that it's clear that acts of advocacy, engagement will all increase. Hopefully that helps. Oh, we have a comment that says, community engagement is very vital and becoming more and more important by the day. Completely agree with that. Haley says, my boss doesn't even use social personally. So yeah, I've been there, I get it. Okay, so I also just want to add, community is such a buzzword, and it's really easy to just slap that on and be like, oh, I've made a community, we're good. Like, just change audience to community. Unfortunately, it's not that easy. You have to do the work. You have to create content that creates connections that you're creating a space where people are welcome to come as themselves and interact with each other. So it does take some work. Okay, Jen, will this report be available in a way that we can present to our bosses? I'll write that one down. That would be cool. So far, no. Advice for followers who like but never comment. I would recommend... Okay, I will also say there's a bunch of people that are in your community. You have anyone from the followers who are just lurkers pretty much, all the way up to the people who create UGC. So it's just trying to encourage the steps along the way. I know that doesn't really help Sassy, but oh, I saw someone replied. Maybe there's an answer there. A CTA for them to engage in the comments. That's cool.
Yeah. Or like maybe asking a question or something like that might help them in the comments. But sometimes it's also great to look at shares as well. So even if someone might not be commenting it, they might be sending it to a friend in a DM and being like, hey, look at this post. This is so cool. Maybe they'll save it. So definitely look at that too, because sometimes people don't really want to leave a comment, but maybe they'll send it privately to someone else, which is also great.
I also saw Kara write engage with their social. I like that idea as well, doing a lot of outbound social. That helped with us quite a lot at HeyOrca. All right, so my next slide, before I click into it, is going to talk about what platforms are being prioritized in 2025. So before I do, what do you all think is the top most engaged with platforms by brands in 2025, according to our survey respondents? Pick any social platform that exists out in the world. I'll give you all 15 seconds. Okay.
LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Instagram. Oh, a lot of TikTok. Okay.
I will say personally, TikTok for me for sure. Oh, we have a not X. All right, I'm going to go to the answer. So according to our survey respondents, Instagram, for those who picked it, was the most used platform by brands in 2025, followed by Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok, and then you get into really small chunks later on. Agreed, Court. TikTok is also my comfort app. Okay, so if you're like, okay, cool, I wonder what industry is using each platform, we have the answers for you for that as well. Okay, so you can see on the right side of the screen that we have it broken down by industry. So higher ed, well, actually, let me say, higher ed, marketing agency, nonprofit, and small business, they all use Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn in varying orders, Instagram always being the top. The one that stood out was technology. It didn't surprise me, but technology has YouTube as their second most used platform. And I totally see a lot of software and technology companies going the more SEO, try to answer the questions that come in YouTube as a search engine point of view. But yeah, curious if you are all feeling the same way as me, like surprised that YouTube is in not surprised that YouTube is in the technology industry.
I feel a little surprised by that. I mean, I feel like it makes sense, but it is a little surprising.
Mm-hmm. Haley, look at me aligning my strategy with these results without even knowing it. Love to hear that. Yeah. All right, now I'm going to go into what are the most useful content types on platforms. So before I scroll, and no cheating if you're already looking at the benchmark survey, but what do you think is the content form type that does the best on social? So that can be, short form video, carousels, stories, text only posts. What do you think is the most or the top performing content format? Jen, I see video. What type of video? Short form or long form? Okay, we're seeing a lot of short form video, reels, carousels. All right, you guys have nailed it. So the top performing content format, and according to our survey respondents, is short form video. That's 35.2% of social media managers chose that one, followed by carousel posts and then stories. So I really think it's interesting to look by industry. And so one thing I want to bring up is that nonprofits were the only industry where community-led content cracked the top 3 performing formats. So like if you look overall, community-led content is number 4, but for nonprofits it's in the top 3. But I'm also not that surprised because a lot of nonprofits base a lot of their marketing off of storytelling and involving their community to showcase the services they provide. So that makes sense to me. Another outlier, which I thought was interesting, was that for tech, it was text-based posts in the top 3. My previous role was in web hosting, and we used a lot of text-based posts, specifically on Twitter. So I'm not that shocked by this, but I was pretty interested to see that was one of the top 3 for technology. Julie, will you be sharing these slides after? If you just click at the top that says find the benchmark report here, it's ungated. You can just click there and you'll have all the slides. Okay, how do you define community-led content? That is anything that puts your community first. So it's involving them in collaborations, it's featuring them, collab posts, anything that is more community focused. Instead of, for example, educational, like here's how to film a TikTok. It could be instead, here's how our agency customer filmed a TikTok, something like that. All right, so just to finish out this slide, if you're curious about what the top driven community content is, UGC is the top contender at 46.9%. Creator collabs was next, community polls was next, and then story takeovers. Story takeovers was quite small, only 3.9%, but it's something that we're experimenting more and more with at HeyOrca. And Natalie had some really good ideas that I'm excited to implement as well on our feeds. Okay, so we have now covered social media, but in case you're curious, like, should I also be building community off social? Yes. So we wanted to ask social media managers, even if they're not managing these themselves, are your brands also connecting with your community elsewhere, not just on social? So the answer is yes. 50.6% say in email newsletters, 22 say in in-person events or virtual events, private groups is next. And then 20% do say only on social. So my recommendation, social is super important. It's very necessary for marketing, but you also want to balance it with off social spaces. And the reason is you're technically building community on rented space. At any point, a social platform could go away. TikTok is the biggest example here. So you want to make sure you're balancing what you're doing on social with off social spaces as well. And our community manager, Alyssa, or community strategist, is an amazing example of this, where our email newsletter, which is where the majority of you probably heard about this webinar, is one space that she's connecting with you all and building community. Yes, shout out Alyssa. Agreed, Natalie.
Also, shout out Bruna in the chat who said newsletters, woohoo. She's actually going to be on our webinar in a few weeks, and we're going to be talking all about community then as well. So stay tuned for that. Just want to give you a quick shout out.
I love that. So in case you're curious, what are the most popular off social spaces for different industries? Events are the most popular for higher ed, public sector, small business, and technology. And I mean, as a technology company, we just did this, so it works out. And then email newsletters are most popular for marketing agencies and nonprofits. Okay, so if I could just finish out my slides before I pass it to Alyssa. What is the future of community? The future. Oh my gosh, I spoiled the answer. But the future. So we asked everyone who replied to this survey what you think 2025 the biggest trend is. And you can see here that community is mentioned all the time. So community engagement, emphasis on community, having authentic and approachable brands, relatability and intimate spaces, and then alignment between own channels and social channels. Cool. Michael, speaking of that, I'm at an expo next week. Amazing. Nice. Let us know how it goes. I'm very excited for you. All right, I'll pass her to Alyssa to talk about the mental state of social teams.
All right. Okay, yes, we're going to go into the mental state of social teams. But before I go into it, and do not cheat and look at the report, but out of a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being extremely poor and 10 being excellent, what do you think social media managers rated their work-life balance? So 1 would be extremely poor, 10 would be amazing. Where do you think people are at on average?
I'm so curious what everyone will say.
6, 5, 2, 3, 7, 4. Okay. All right. We have a variety of answers. All right. Well, the answer is 6.68 out of 10 is the average score for work-life balance, which I feel like is obviously we want to be 10. That's an ideal situation. For some reason, I was expecting it to be slightly lower, actually. So I was actually surprised by this number. So let me know your thoughts in the chat. Are you surprised by this? Does this make sense? And we can break it down even further by team number. So teams of 1 said their average was 6.53 out of 10. Teams of 2 to 3 people said theirs was 7.09 out of 10. 4 to 6 people said 6.21 out of 10, and 7+ people on the team said 6.0 out of 10, which that's what I found really surprising. So a team of 7+ people actually had the lowest work-life balance score, which in my head, I'd think the team of 1 or maybe 2 to 3 would have the lower one. So I found that very surprising.
Definitely.
Here.
When you don't have a team of 1, you can at least spread out the work. But then when there's too many people, there's also probably a lot of like conflicting information and goals and such. So yeah.
That is a good point. That is a good point. I'm not surprised. Very interesting.
Yeah, too many cooks in the kitchen. That's exactly what I was trying to say.
That is actually a really good point.
Yep.
All right. And then when it comes to what is making people feel burnt out, the number one thing, which led by 31.5%, is the demand to always be on, which I'm sure you can all relate to. Social is kind of, social doesn't go off. It is on all the time. So social media managers feel like they need to also be on and checking, looking all the time, which can feel like a lot. And then the second was high volume of content creation, which I'm sure everyone can relate to, especially if, executives don't really know how long things take. They might be asking you to put out crazy amounts of content. The third was unrealistic expectations, and the fourth was lack of career growth. So I would say the contributors to burnout don't surprise me at all, but definitely the ratings surprised me a little bit. So very, very interesting. The constant checking is exhausting. Yes. Got to stay on trends. Yes. Yes, there's just so much you need to be always focused on. And like, especially with trends, some trends stick around for a while. Others are gone within a few days. So it does feel like you need to always keep on top of it. All right, now what we can do about it. So you can see there's a few quotes from the survey, so you can definitely check that out in the report. But the main takeaways here is that social media teams need clearer boundaries, stronger executive buy-in, and better workload management tools to help prevent burnout. And if you have any tool suggestions, definitely throw them in the chat. We love to know what everyone is using, any tips you have for burnout that, maybe you use throughout the day. But boundaries is definitely, I would say, the biggest one. And it's probably one of the hardest ones to implement, especially I feel like with agencies and freelancers, it can be a little tricky with clients and all of that, but definitely setting boundaries is a huge thing.
We have Ashley in the chat saying the biggest work-life balance lifesaver is having a work phone.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yes.
On our team, both our social people, Natalie and Jessica, have work phones for that reason. And to create content, it sucks to have to do it on your own phone.
So true. And yeah, you don't need your own phone to have like tons of videos and photos and all of that. So yes, definitely having a separate phone for that is super helpful. Mm-hmm. Love it. And then the other thing we recommend here is that find a community where you can go and look for advice. You can vent about maybe some challenges you're experiencing, and people can, tell you how, they overcame those things. So if you're looking for one, we do have a Facebook group. So if you ever are looking for somewhere where you're looking for advice, or you just want to vent about a situation that happened, you can go there, vent. And people are really, really great in there with their advice. So definitely check it out.
Michael says, a community like HeyOrca by chance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. And yes, keep sharing all your tips for burnout because I always love to hear what everyone is doing. All right. And this one's a really good one. So I'm going to pass it over to Jessie for salary and career growth.
I imagine that a lot of you are here today to see if you are paid enough. So before I get into the details, put in the comments, do you think you're paid well or paid enough for what you bring to the table? Yes or no, really simple answer. So yes, I'm definitely paid well. No, I need a raise. Be curious. All right, we're seeing a ha ha ha. Okay, so it started with a lot of no's, so we're actually seeing a few yeses now, which is great. All right, I'm going to tell you the answer. So right now, I'm going to say that probably you're not being paid enough, and we actually put that right in the report. So we asked social media managers again around the world, but we'll go by location later in the report, how much you're being paid. And here's the breakdown. So the average social media manager salary is 57,000 USD a year. And the majority of social media managers are making between 40 to 60K US. And you can see the breakdown here that there's also folks making under 40 and then anywhere between 60 to 100. So who's making 100K? It is mostly social media managers in the technology field, though we saw, I think, some marketing agency folks in there as well. And who's earning under 40K? Well, that is mostly small businesses, though there's also some marketing agency folks in there as well. I see a lot of folks saying, screenshotting the slide, please, yes. Okay, and we have a question, why is it in US? Don't worry, we're going to get into Canadian and the pound later on. So now we want to break it down by industry. And so I kind of already revealed some of the answers before, but on the right, you can see how many people are making certain amounts in different industries. Again, technology are the ones that are making 100K or more, and the ones under who are making 40K or less are predominantly small business. So you do see them in all industries, for example, higher ed, marketing agency, nonprofit, etc. All right, so you can screenshot this slide if you'd like, but I'm going to go into more. So who is satisfied with their pay in this field? This probably reflects what was put in the chat earlier, but 18% feel they are fairly paid and 50.9% believe they are unpaid. So interestingly, we wanted to see if there was a certain bracket of salary where people felt like especially underpaid, but it actually, or especially well paid. And we actually saw across all brackets are people, sorry, got distracted by the chat. In all brackets, people are feeling that they're both paid or underpaid. So Laura says only 50% are underpaid. This is their opinion. So 50% of people believe they're underpaid, but actually that's closer to 51%. And that also is in all brackets. So we even had someone who makes 100K say, actually, I feel underpaid as well. So yeah. All right, let's go into how that looks by location. So US is the first one we looked at. And so we had 147 of American social media managers who took their surveys. And out of those earning 100K, 40% work in tech, 33% work at marketing agencies. There was also 2 nonprofit social media managers who reported 100K plus USD salaries. So it is possible. It's less likely for nonprofits, but it is possible. And then among those who are earning 40K USD or less, 56 work in marketing agencies, 67%, and most of those people feel like they're underpaid. And then another 13% work at small businesses, and another 13 at nonprofits. Just taking a break for a second to read the comments. I've seen all these jobs where they want social media managers to be videographers, editors, copywriters. Yes. And then they pay so little. Exactly. I completely agree. Okay, cool. Let's move into Canadian-based salaries. So this one we converted to Canadian. 70 Canadian social media managers took our survey. Of those earning 110, just taking into account the conversion there. 50% work in tech and 33% work at marketing agencies. So very similar to what you're seeing in the US. And then among those earning 55K or less, 36 are in small businesses, 27% at nonprofits, and 27% at marketing agencies. Yes, we're seeing a lot of folks here that are wearing a lot of hats as social media managers. All right, let's move into the UK next. So only 35. So keep this in mind that this is a smaller group of people. Only 35 people from the UK answered the survey. And among those who are earning under 30K pounds, 31% work at small businesses. And then the one respondent that we saw who makes 60 to 75K works at a marketing advertising agency. We didn't see anyone in the 75K and up. Again, only 35 respondents for this one. And then unfortunately, we didn't get enough data to look at the rest of Europe all of Europe and the rest of the world. I wish I could tell you all what those salaries are, but if you are one of those social media managers in those locations, I think even the rest of the data in this report should help with any salary requests you have in future with your bosses. All right, so one of the things that comes up in social media a lot is like, oh, do I stay or do I go? I think we all can agree that it is a fun job, but there's so many things that are impacting us wanting to stay and make a full career out of it. So we wanted to check in, like, what exactly is encouraging you to stay and what is not. So first off, will you continue in social media management? 51% say yes, 35% are unsure, and 13% say no. Actually, people who work at marketing agencies were the highest yes responses, which I thought was super interesting. But they also were a big group of people from agencies who want to leave the field. So it's quite a mix there. And then we're like, okay, why might you want to leave the field? And we have a lot of folks saying there's an unclear career trajectory, there's limited salary growth, we're not recognized as strategic contributors, and lack of mentorship or professional development. And these are stories that we see time and time again. One of the comments that came up in the survey was someone said, I'm just seen as that silly TikTok girl. But obviously this person brings so much more to the table than just filming TikToks.
Melissa says, I can't picture myself being a social media manager when I'm like 50, though. Where do I go from here? That's a good question. That is a good question.
I think a very typical next step that social media managers take is brand manager, because you're just so knowledgeable about the community and about what they like, what they dislike. Like, you have the pulse on community, basically. So pulling that into the brand side, like how you present yourself online, even if it's not the design side, just like personality and such, that would be my recommended next step. Ashley says, my team and culture are the biggest reasons as to why I will stay at my current job. The grass isn't always greener on the other side. Yeah, team and culture is so important and something we really focus on at HeyOrca as well.
And then I see a question, are y'all using ChatGPT weekly to help you with content? We're going to be actually talking about AI very soon.
All right. And then we asked social media managers, what do you think you need to learn for 2025 to stay ahead and to continue to grow in your field? So one of the biggest opportunities that came up, actually it was almost a tie in first place, to be honest. So optimizing for discoverability, so AKA social media SEO. And the other one was managing online communities. From there, we're seeing a few people asking about or suggesting analyzing performance, basically having insights from your social management. Another group saying editing and creating videos, and then a small group saying using AI in content creation. So I just want to add that community building was the top the list for social media managers in higher education, agencies, and tech. In the public sector, it was video creation and editing that was the priority. And then finally, for nonprofits and small businesses, it was optimizing for discoverability. Some recommendations. You guys are probably underpaid. I'm really, really sorry. I really hope that you're able to take this report, bring it to your managers or whoever works with your salary, and see if you're able to look for a raise. Again, bring back social to the whole, to business goals, because you need to show that you are making a strategic impact on the business through social media. All right, I will pass it back to Alyssa.
All right, so yes, now we're going to talk about where AI fits into all of this. But before we do that, I have a question for you. what percentage of social media managers don't believe that they'll be replaced by AI? So what's the percentage that don't believe they'll be replaced by AI? Let me know your thoughts in the chat. I'll give you a couple seconds before I show you the answer. All right, 80, 15, 75, 50, 60, 80, 30.
Good mix. I like this.
All right. So the answer is 74.4. So 74.4% of social media managers who filled out the survey do not believe that they'll be replaced by AI, but that it will actually make their tasks easier, which is really cool. So we wanted to see how many social media managers are using AI in their workflow, and 44.9% said yes, frequently. 44.2 said occasionally, and then 10.9 said not at all. So you can see there's a huge chunk that are using AI either every day or every now and then. And so when it comes to AI, what are people using it for? So the top answer was AI generated captions, AI assisted design, AI powered social media scheduling tools, analytics, reporting, and moderation. So that doesn't surprise me at all, because when I think of AI, I think like it can really help get ideas flowing. Obviously, you want to always put your own personal touch to it, but it can really help if you've kind of hit a roadblock and your creative juices need some help. But yeah, so that doesn't surprise me at all. And I think the biggest takeaway from this is that AI should be a complement, but not a substitute, obviously. So it's always good, like I said, to add your own personal, your touch, your brand voice, all of that to make it your own. But some other recommendations is that with AI, it's always changing. So keep up to date on the latest AI capabilities. Automate repetitive tasks. That's a really good one. Keep strategy, creativity, and community building human-led, kind of like what I just said. Always add your personal touch to it. And then, of course, you need to be mindful of perceptions of AI when creating content for your brand. We've seen many times, even recently, there could be, an AI photo trend and certain brands use it, and then, a lot of people are really not happy. So definitely stay informed. Make sure you know exactly what a trend is, where it comes from. Just make sure you know exactly what's going on before posting it or participating in it. And just checking the comments here. Canva, Adobe, ChatGPT, yes. I'm concerned about the environmental impacts of it long term. Definitely. Oh, Jesse, like Michael's. Yes, that's what I was thinking of. I could not remember what brand it was. Yes, Michael's was in hot water for the last one. All right. And that's it for the AI area.
So my recommendation is we really went like high level over this report. Please take a read through it. There's many more details that we skimmed over just for the sake of time. But yeah, if I could TLDR here, social media managers, you are all leading the movement for community. I hope that this report helps you with your salary, with how you present information to your leadership and clients, and just helps you build out communities in your day-to-day. And I know we had Alyssa a question. Can you share specific examples of how HeyOrca invests in community, or how someone in higher ed can do so?
That's a good question. So for HeyOrca, we do, and I'm trying to think of higher ed examples higher ed can use. So for community, we do have our private Facebook group, which is a great community for social media managers. For higher ed, I actually am also in a higher ed social media group that's really good as well. I think it's called #HigherEdSocial. Yeah. Definitely check that out if you're looking for a space to chat more about higher ed and social media. But yes, we have our Facebook group. We also have our HeyOrca Stands community, which is for customers who get early access to our features. They get collaboration opportunities. If anyone wants to be a part of that, definitely send me an email or a message. We're going to be adding more people to it soon. little plug there. But yeah, we try to do different things like that. We like to have our customers in our social content. And you'll actually see some stuff from our summit coming out soon. We did a lot of interviews there. Shout out Natalie, who did all the interviews. But yes, those are just a few examples of ways we've incorporated the community.
Awesome. I know we're pretty much out of time. So just a quick reminder to you all that we do have a poll going on our LinkedIn, a chance to win $25 gift certificate. And also, again, another contest that if you post about today's webinar, you're welcome to, we'll be choosing a winner from there. And thank you, Natalie, for dropping the poll in the comment section.
And I do want to mention, we do have another webinar next week, and Jonathan, our ads specialist, is going to be on it. And we're going to be talking about how you can maximize paid ads with a small budget. So I'm going to put the link to that in the chat. So if you'd like to learn more about that, definitely come hang out with us next week.
Amazing. Thank you all for being here and for downloading the ungated report.
Yes, definitely check it out. And if you have any more thoughts about it, let us know, send us a message, and we'd always like to talk about it.
Perfect. Thanks
everyone. See you next week. Bye.